They signed a partnership with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to freeze the DNA of every single species on the Endangered Species Act list. 2,300 animals and plants, living cells, reproductive tissues, complete genome sequences, all of it stored at minus 321 degrees Fahrenheit in Dallas. All of the data free, open access, no cost to scientists anywhere in the world. Part 1. What the BioVault actually is. The Endangered Species Act was passed in 1973. It currently protects 1,662 domestic species and 638 foreign species. Since 1985, the number of species added to the list has grown by 300%. Federal funding for the program has not kept pace. Each listed species now receives roughly half the conservation resources it received 40 years ago. The gap between what the list requires and what the government can fund has been growing for decades, and nobody has had a credible answer for it. Yesterday, Colossal offered one. The BioVault is a cryogenic archive, not digital records, not photographs or field notes. Living cells, reproductive tissues, genomic DNA, the biological material that allows assisted reproduction, population genetic management, and in the worst case, future restoration of species that collapse past the point of natural recovery. Stored in liquid nitrogen at minus 321 degrees Fahrenheit, across a distributed network of facilities with redundant architecture so that no single power failure, natural disaster, or regional disruption can compromise the collection. Matt James, Colossal's chief animal officer, said the goal is creating a permanent genetic record of America's most vulnerable species before they are lost. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Director Brian Nesvik said the collaboration will advance understanding of how biobanking can complement existing conservation tools. The Memorandum of Understanding does not obligate federal funds. Colossal is spending tens of millions of dollars to build and operate this. The government is providing field networks, regulatory authority, and conservation priority setting. The company is providing the infrastructure. That division of labor is the first thing worth paying attention to. Part 2. The business underneath the conservation. The samples stored in the BioVault will be owned by the organizations that provide them, not Colossal. The genomic data will be deposited into open access repositories at no cost, not paywalled, not proprietary, free to researchers anywhere in the world. This is structurally different from how Colossal has operated everything else. The dire wolf is patented. The Mammoth program has a patent application covering gene-edited elephants with mammoth DNA. The Thylacine program's outputs will be intellectual property. Every de-extinction animal Colossal produces is corporate property. The BioVault is the opposite, public data. Samples owned by their original custodians. Infrastructure funded by Colossal, but positioned as a national resource. So why is a company with a $10.2 billion valuation spending tens of millions to build public infrastructure and give the outputs away for free? The honest answer is that building the infrastructure for 2,300 species genomes, even if the data is free, makes Colossal the most genomically sophisticated conservation organization in American history. The expertise accumulated across 2,300 species is not transferable. The relationships with zoos, universities, government agencies, and NGOs that the BioVault partnership creates are not publicly available. The sequencing capacity, the cryogenic architecture, the field collection networks, all of it built and operated by Colossal. This is not cynicism. A company can build genuinely useful public infrastructure and also benefit from building it. Those two things are not contradictions. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault, which Lam explicitly compared the BioVault to, was built by the Norwegian government and serves global food security. Norway also has national interests. Both things are true. The question worth asking is not whether Colossal benefits from the BioVault. They clearly do. The question is whether the benefit structure stays aligned with the conservation mission over time. And that question is not answered in any press release. Part 3. The Colossal Foundation. The BioVault partnership is being operated through the Colossal Foundation, the nonprofit arm of Colossal Biosciences Incorporated in late 2024. It has received $100 million in donations since incorporation, including at least $60 million from the UAE's Dubai Future Foundation as part of a global BioVault expansion announced in February 2026. The nonprofit structure matters. It means the BioVault initiative is legally separate from the for-profit entity attempting mammoth embryo transfers and running a dire wolf breeding program and filing patents on transgenic animals. The for-profit company has fiduciary obligations to investors. The foundation does not. The mission alignment between them is currently close. Whether it stays close as the for-profit entity approaches an IPO is a structural question that the nonprofit architecture alone cannot answer. It also means that when Lam says the BioVault data will be free and open access, that commitment sits inside a nonprofit governance structure rather than a shareholder value framework. That is a meaningful distinction. It is not a guarantee, but it is more durable than a press release from a company with investors who need returns. Part 4. What the Red Wolf Taught Us. In April 2025, buried in paragraph 12 of the dire wolf announcement, Colossal announced they had cloned 4 red wolf animals using the same non-invasive blood cloning technology developed for Romulus and Remus. The technology built to produce a headline animal quietly saved a living species in the same week. The tool and the conservation outcome were inseparable. The BioVault is the same dynamic at a much larger scale. The technology Colossal, built to extract ancient DNA from 72,000-year-old fossils, reconstruct partial genomes, and sequence complex ancient material, is now being applied to living endangered species. The expertise accumulated in the dire wolf and mammoth programs is the reason Colossal can do this at the scale the BioVault requires. The dire wolf was not just a proof of concept for de-extinction, it was a proof of concept for the genomic infrastructure that makes the BioVault possible. And the BioVault, if it delivers what the announcement promises, will be the most consequential thing Colossal has ever built. More consequential than 3 wolves on a reserve. More consequential than a mammoth calf in 2028. Because it does not depend on the contested question of what de-extinction means, or whether 20 edits is enough. It depends only on whether living cells can be preserved and sequenced at scale before the species that carried them collapse. That is a solvable problem. Colossal has the tools. The government has the field networks. The data will be free. Whether that combination holds over the decades it will take to complete 2,300 species is the question the announcement does not answer. But the fact that someone is attempting it, at this scale, with this infrastructure, in a legal and scientific framework that could outlast any single administration's priorities, is genuinely significant. The dire wolf got the headlines. This is bigger. If the full picture of what Colossal is actually building beneath the de-extinction story is what keeps you watching, our last video followed the money to the source. Watch who actually profits when extinction becomes a business next. $853 million. 79 investors, including the CIA, the patent on gene-edited elephants, and a biodiversity credit market Colossal is positioning itself to dominate. The BioVault changes some of that calculation, not all of it.